town as it brings stability for farmers, small-scale businesses, and investors. The funding from the DTI to the Bavian's local municipality for the infrastructure resulted in the project creating an estimated 238 construction jobs in the area, and this project is also key to boosting economic growth and creating much-needed jobs. As part of government's rail revitalization program, Cabinet welcomed the testing of the passenger rail agency South Africa's new extra-police mega commuter trains. These new state-of-the-art trains, scheduled for operation in October of this year, have automatic doors, open passageways throughout the train, air conditioning, and closed-circuit television, and enhanced commuter safety. This train connects South Africans and will play a key role in supporting public transport and igniting growth. In better enabling small businesses, National Treasury and Black Business Council establish a working center which will assist small businesses with registration on the Central Supplier Database, attend e-tender queries, and other client services of National Treasury. This will go a long way in reducing red tape and making it easier for businesses, especially small businesses, to take advantage of economic opportunities and contribute to the development of our economy and country. We encourage prospective and current service providers to register on this working center, which is the source of all supplier information for all spheres of government. The purpose of centralizing government supplier database is to reduce duplication of effort and cost for both supplier and government while enabling electronic procurement processes. A further contribution to the creation of decent employment through inclusive economic growth was the recently held National Jobs Fair under the theme Jobs Summit and Jobs Fair, My Job, My Future, which will empower the unemployed with soft skills, information, and face-to-face search for placement opportunities, especially around further learning, self-employment, cooperatives, and community works programs. Parliament's passing of the expropriation bill provides a legal certainty to the state to continue with the implementation of our country's program of radical socio-economic transformation to resolve the land question firmly at the center of its agenda. It defines the administratively just process that any expropriating authority must follow. This expropriation bill and Envisage Act provide for procedural efficiency, certainty, and more quicker expropriations in the public interest, including land restitution. A person or community dispossessed of property over centuries are entitled to the extent provided by this bill to restitution of that property or to equitable redress. It also sets out the rules by which government can lay claim to land in the public interest and for public purposes. The bill follows the Bill of Rights and the property clause in our Constitution criteria to be considered in the case of compensation for expropriation. It will also allow for property owners to be fairly and equitably compensated. And once signed into law, this bill will repeal the Expropriation Act of 1975. Inclusive growth is the focus of the Presidential Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Advisory Council, which met recently. This BEE Advisory Council will be working closely with the Presidential Professional Working Group that has been established by President Zuma to ensure that issues affecting especially black professionals are attended to. The meeting is also another demonstration of the spirit of unity and partnership to reignite inclusive economic growth, bearing in mind the goal of BEE so that we can move forward in transforming and de-racializing the South African economy. South Africa participated for the first time in a two-day 8 International Information Technology IT Forum in Kati-Masinsk in Russia, which is being represented by Minister Mutambi. The forum is taking place from yesterday until today and will leverage science and technology to solve some of the biggest challenges in education and health systems. Delegates at this forum include representatives of business, professional associations, research, educational and IT experts, especially from the BRICS countries. The 5th Annual Waste Management Coro, led by the Minister of Environmental Affairs, under the theme Promoting Innovation and Upscaling Enterprise Development, is aimed at improving service delivery, ensuring the fast turnaround of waste management programs to promote the recycling economy, while bringing more of our communities into the mainstream economy by accelerating jobs, access to job opportunities in the waste sector. The release of the local government audit outcomes by the Auditor General for 2014-15 shows an improvement in the audit results by municipalities from 2010-11 to 2014-15 financial years. The number of municipalities that received financially unqualified audit opinions with no findings has increased from 13 to 54. Furthermore, 18 additional municipal entities also have achieved a clean audit status, taking the total number of clean audits to 72 in the current period. There was also a significant reduction in adverse and disclaimed opinions, which decreased from over 30% in 2010-2011 to about 11% of municipalities in the current period. These improvements of these audit outcomes have been the result of the Back to Basics program, Operation Clean Audit, decisive leadership, improved financial and performance management, and record keeping. Cabinet noted the judgment by the Supreme Court of Appeal declaring the digital broadcasting migration policy unlawful, invalid, and being set aside. A team from the following departments: the Presidency, Departments of Communications, Telecommunications and Postal Services, Justice, Constitutional Development, and Trade and Industry, will advise government on the full implications of this judgment. With local government elections scheduled to be held on the 3rd of August, all political parties have to abide by the Electoral Code of Conduct, which all parties have signed. This binds all parties contesting in the elections to play their part in securing a free and fair election. Political parties and supporters must abide by the Constitution, and those guilty of criminal activity must face the full might of the law. In light of the recent political intolerance, the Minister of Police has established a multidisciplinary task team that comprises South African Police Service subs, crime intelligence, detective services, Directorate of Priority Crime Investigation, the Hawks, and forensics to underpin the vision of the medium-term strategic framework outcome 3 that states all people in South Africa are and feel free. On the matter of the terror alert issued by the United States Embassy in Pretoria, Cabinet reiterates the statement that was issued by the Presidency yesterday that the security cluster met to discuss the matter further with a view to ensuring the continued safety of all people in our country. In addition, our government will continue to discuss the matter with the U.S. government as part of ongoing cooperation on security matters between the two countries. Our country, South Africa, and the U.S. continue to enjoy strong and cordial relations in various areas of cooperation in political, economic, social, and security matters. This year marks the commemoration of the 40th anniversary of the 16 June 1976 students' uprisings, which profoundly changed the socio-political landscape in South Africa. President Zuma will officiate at the National Youth Day proceedings at Orlando Stadium in Soweto on the 16th of June 2016 under the theme, Youth Taking South Africa Forward. Highlights will include a keynote address by the President as well as the wreath-laying ceremony at the Hector Peterson Memorial. A special media briefing will be held on Tuesday, the 14th June, to provide further details on the program of the day. Currently, ministers and deputy ministers have been engaging with our people, especially the youth, through this Youth Month to encourage them to take up opportunities across various sectors so as to better their lives and enable them to effectively contribute to the development of our country and our economy. These programs of ministers involved in the Youth Month program will be published on the government website and social media platforms. With the onset of the initiation period, many young males are preparing to enter the rite passage to adulthood. Our government, led by the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, is working with the institutions of traditional leadership and all stakeholders to ensure that the 2016 initiation season pursues zero deaths, which is driven through a theme, we love our tradition, we value life of our youth. Families, parents, and legal guardians must ensure that young men only choose legally operating initiation schools where pre-screening is done and surgeons are well trained and well known to parents. Communities are requested to report any illegal activities on 0800 111 166 or hashtag zero tolerance on initiation deaths. Some key cabinet decisions. The President of the Republic, President Zuma, was selected to the Heads of State High-Level Panel on Water, and the Director General of the Department of Water and Sanitation was appointed as a Sherpa to the President, as well as a panel member of this high-level panel on water. The United Nations Secretary General's Advisory Board on Water and Sanitation recommended the establishment of the select heads of state high-level panel on water to lead the advocacy initiative on water and adaptation following the adoption of the 2030 Development Agenda by the United Nations Secretary General in September 2015. The panel will accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal 6, which is on clean water and sanitation, which has a renewed focus on the profound impact of climate change on the water cycle. It is on this light, and given the persistent drought that is experienced across the country, that Team South Africa is encouraged to participate in the cleaning up of our rivers, streams, and wetlands on the 18th of July as part of South Africa's annual Mandela Day activities. The communication strategy on the National Development Plan Vision 2030, which will highlight the implementation of the NDP, will communicate the impact on NDP on South Africa. That was adopted. A special media briefing will be held to unpack that communication strategy, the usage of the logo, the branding guidelines and applications to ensure a uniformed communication approach across all government and other implementing agencies. There was a report on the extent of desertification in South Africa and its impact on the rural economy and related strategies being implemented to address these challenges. The effects of desertification, it's about the desert, land degradation and drought impede efforts aimed at poverty eradication, safeguarding food security, enhancing water quality and quantity, resilience and adaptation to climate change, as well as achieving sustainable development. In this regard, South Africa has introduced a number of legislative tools, policies, strategies, and practical programs aimed at addressing desertification and land degradation at all levels. These interventions will contribute to conservation and socio-economic upliftment while creating job opportunities, skills development, and enhancing livelihoods. The release of this report will also contribute to recognition of June 17 as the World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought, which was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly. The response report to issues received from the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child was approved. This relates to the second report on the implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. These will be considered at the 73rd session that is going to be held in Geneva from the 13th to the 30th of September this year. Cabinet also noted the commencement of the data collection process for the next treaty periodic reports on the African Charter on the Rights and the Welfare of the Child and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child to be submitted by the 7th of January 2017 and 15 July 2017 respectively. The recommendations and proposals from the comprehensive report on the review of the implementation of the White Paper for Social Welfare of 1997 was approved. This will fast-track the revised White Paper on Social Welfare, which will be aligned to the government's priority of building cohesive, caring, sustainable, and safety communities. The recommendations focus on priorities of the NDP, which identify social protection and developmental social welfare as pathways to progressively achieve social development. Implementation of these will have a positive impact on the lives of our people who are at risk, who are vulnerable, and living in extreme poverty, particularly women and children and people with disabilities. This will also ensure that such groups have access to specified core basket of social development services required to improve their standard of living and enhance their social welfare. Cabinet approved to present to Parliament the amended treaty on extradition with the Republic of Botswana in terms of Article 231(1) of our Constitution. The aim of this treaty is for more effective cooperation between South Africa and Botswana so as to facilitate the extradition request received from Botswana and South Africa where death penalty is a possible sentence. This underscores that South Africa will not be a safe haven for criminals by providing for this extradition of fugitives and to facilitate the effectiveness of law enforcement authorities in the prevention, investigation, and prosecution of crime. The South African Police Service will henceforth be publishing one annual comprehensive report on crime statistics and also on a quarterly basis. The annual comprehensive report will accommodate the changes in crime statistics that may result from the quality assurance and changes related to the status of the cases that may take place during the year under consideration. The need for frequent statistics will better enable government decision-making process to address issues from crime trends. This will also contribute to the NDP pillar, which states that people of South Africa need to contribute to safer communities. Bills. The Copyright Amendment Bill and the Performance Protection Bill will be introduced to Parliament. This will cater to ensure that the outdated bill is removed and that new issues such as digital issues are taken into consideration. And this is aligned to the NDP's objective of promoting innovation, improved productivity, more intensive pursuit of a knowledge economy, and better exploitation of comparative and competitive advantage of South Africa. The current policy revision is based on the need to align the intellectual property legislation with the digital era and the developments at a multilateral level. This also will ensure a one policy approach at national and international levels from government. The revision also includes the incorporation of key flexibilities in the area of copyright and performance protection. Upcoming events. Preparations are advanced for South Africa to host the 21st International AIDS Conference, which will be held at the Nkosi Albert Luthuli International Convention Center in Durban from the 18th to the 22nd of July this year, co-hosted by government and the International AIDS Society. South Africa is ready to host this conference, which should also boost tourism industry, small, medium, and micro enterprises, and the informal trading sector. The conference will provide also a momentous opportunity for South Africa to showcase its massive successes in addressing HIV and AIDS issues. It has global significance as it will attract between 18 and 20,000 participants from 180 countries. Global leaders from government, polka leaders, captains of industry, civil society, development partners, and academic institutions will be in attendance. The next IMC of this preparatory conference will be held in Durban, which will include an inspection in loco of the facilities, wherein a media conference will be held as well. President Zuma will undertake a presidential Siyahlola monitoring visit to Kwaggafontein in Mpumalanga tomorrow, Friday the 10th of June. This visit follows the president's interaction with South Africans in February 2016 in Marabastad in Pretoria, where commuters raised issues around service delivery challenges in Kwaggafontein. This program will allow the president and the government to see firsthand the successes as well as the challenges being faced in that area. The president will also use the visit to further respond to the challenges faced by the residents of Tembisile-Hani local municipality. Well wishes and congratulations to the following: David Radebe and Shane Bosman for winning the men and women categories of the 2016 Comrades Marathon. David Radebe also set a new men's down run record of 5 hours, 18 minutes. The announcement by Volkswagen Group South Africa plant in Uitenhage has been recognized as the top manufacturing plant in the global VW production network for 2015. It has achieved the highest index score of 113.2% amongst 13 plants around the globe. The 301 South African firefighters from the Department of Environmental Affairs Working on Fire program, who are in Canada assisting in fighting wildfire, Cabinet wishes them well and a safe return home. The awarding of the Order of Merit to Minister Derek Hanekom with the highest tribute by Germany for an individual for their political, economic, social, and intellectual achievements. He has been awarded in recognition of Hanekom's contribution to cooperation between Germany and South Africa during his tenure as the Minister of Science and Technology. Cabinet also wishes all Muslims a blessed Ramadan. The following condolences were noted: to the Sahrawi people on the passing away of President Mohamed Abdelaziz, to the Braude family on the passing away of Advocate Julius Braude Senior Counsel, who represented thousands of people who faced eviction from their homes during the Group Areas Act at the height of political repressions, and also represented many icons of our liberation struggle, including Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, and many, many others. He was also a founding member of Lawyers for Human Rights. To the family and religious community on the passing of Reverend Dr. Simon Kubule, a leading religious leader, academic, and a liberation struggle stalwart, who recently had been awarded the Order of Luthuli in silver in April by President Zuma in recognition of his excellent contribution to the liberation struggle in the field of education and religion. To the family and friends of veteran actor and director Nyembezi Kunene, to former Bafana Bafana coach Ted Dimitri, who had a stellar career coaching Kaizer Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns, Pirates, and also coached Bafana Bafana during the 2006 Africa Cup of Nations. To family, friends, and people of Nigeria on the loss of Nigerian soccer legend Stephen Keshi, who had won Africa Cup of Nations both as a player and also as a coach, and contributed to soccer in Africa and the world. And also joining the global community in paying tribute to the former heavyweight boxing champion and international sports icon Muhammad Ali, who was an inspiration to many people around the world and used his position to champion the fight for civil rights, justice, and equality. Appointments. All appointments are subject to the verification of qualification and relevant clearance. National Empowerment Fund, the reappointment of Ms. Pelisiwe Mthethwa as the Chief Executive Officer of the NEF, the appointment of Ms. Nondomiso Mandisa Chikwatamba as the Chief Executive Officer of the Small Enterprise Development Agency, of the appointment of Mr. Thokozane William Magwaza as the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Social Security Agency, and of Mr. Michael Mlengana as the Director General of the Department of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. We will take questions. I want to propose that we start with Cape Town Leza, and just the usual, introduce yourself and the media house you're representing. Leza.
First hand, Paul.
Good morning, Minister. Paul Vicchiotto from Bloomberg. Was Cabinet briefed on the GDP numbers yesterday? And was the feeling Cabinet surprise, shock, or indifference over those numbers? That thing. Secondly, we've had a couple of ministers say on that they'd reported Cabinet on the issue of the Gupta's bank accounts being closed. Has that happened yet? Will there reports or anything? Can you give us some idea of the progress of that? Thank you.
Andisiwe.
Good morning, Minister. This is Andisiwe from City Press. Minister, we note that the Cabinet reiterates the President's statement on the terror alerts, but there was another statement issued yesterday by DECO on the same issue, which was not the same as the President's statement, which spoke about the Americans basing their alert on sketchy details and questioning the whole manner in which the whole issue was handled. Did the Cabinet talk about that, and what are your views? Are you supporting that statement from DECO that also came out yesterday afternoon? I just need clarity, Minister, on the crime stats. Are they going to be public?
and also to buy the reporting system of government as a whole. When does that happen? It was taken yesterday. That means with the expectation that it will be done on a quarterly basis, I've said. Maybe back to the issue of terror alert. The ministers of security met yesterday. I do not have the report of what transpired there, but I'm sure they're going to be communicating what they met about. On the issue of digital migration, a team has been set up of ministers in the presidency, communications, telecommunications and postal services, justice and constitutional development, and trade and industry.
Thank you very much, Minister. We'll take questions from Pretoria, if there are any. Oh, there are. Okay. One.
Good morning, Minister. Barry Bateman, Eyewitness News. It relates to this terror alert yesterday, and I appreciate that you say you haven't read the DIRCO statement, but what it does say in the statement is that it essentially accuses the US Embassy of attempting to influence and manipulate and control South Africa's anti-terror work. And it also accuses them of trying to create the perception of an inept government, and that government isn't capable of protecting South Africans. Is this a sentiment or a feeling that government feels that the Americans, by issuing this terror alert, are attempting to undermine our work? I mean, it's a very serious statement to be made. And certainly, was that raised at the cabinet briefing? I'd like to have your thoughts on that as well, please.
Number two.
Bonge Wakumalo from ENCA. My question is coming at the back of Barry's question and also Andisiwa's question. When it comes to this particular statement, Minister, from DIRCO yesterday, I know that government is saying that they continue to maintain cordial relations with the US, but did it have any implication at all, or did you experience any sort of strain from the side of the US Embassy based on this very statement? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Aldrin St-Pierre from SABC TV News. Minister, I understand that you say that government's position now is on the statement issued by the Presidency. However, though, yesterday when we spoke to the DIRCO spokesperson, Clayson Munyela, he indicated that this statement that has been issued and approved at the highest level, which would indicate that it's probably the minister, because he didn't want to say whether it is indeed the minister or whether it was the president that has signed off or approved that statement, because then it seems to be a difference. You have this one statement from DIRCO, which seems to be really harsh on the US government as well as the Australian governments and the United Kingdom as well. And just a question on clarity, the amended treaty on extradition with the Republic of Botswana, what is it exactly that government wants amended there?
Good morning, Anton Meyer from Pretoria FM. Minister, the Operation Pakisa in the mining sector has been announced, I think it was last year, and it said they will start their work in August 2015. Shouldn't this be a priority for government to start with the Operation Pakisa in the mining sector as soon as possible, given the fact that we've seen an 18.1% drop in GDP in that sector? By the time we start with this thing, we will see the results of the second quarter. And maybe by then it's too little too late. We need to start with Operation Pakisa. I don't know. What's your thought about that? Another thing, there were reports of a draft bill that was put on the table at a cabinet meeting about South Africa's withdrawal from the International Criminal Court. Did Cabinet discuss the withdrawal from the International Criminal Court, and is there such a draft bill on the table as the report states? Thank you.
Okay. Minister Statsfan, I think we'll take this. Yeah, the next will come to the next round. Minister.
I would like to reiterate what I've said now, reiterating the statement that was issued by the Presidency yesterday, and this cabinet statement from the post-cabinet briefing that reflect the government position on this matter. I also like to refer you to the statement that was issued by the United States Embassy yesterday, also reflecting the same sentiment that the relations between the United States and South Africa are cordial in all spheres, including on security matters. So that is the official government position. So our sentiment is that of that statement issued by the Presidency and the statement that is reiterating it arising from the post-cabinet briefing. On the issue of Botswana, the importance of this treaty between South Africa and Botswana, as you will know, that Botswana also has on their statute book capital punishment. And in South Africa, there is a constitutional court ruling, both firstly in the Mankwanyana case in the late 90s, declaring capital punishment to be unconstitutional. And recently, about 3-4 years ago, there was a Botswana national who was facing capital punishment in Botswana, who fled to South Africa. So he went to court saying that he should not be extradited back to Botswana because he faces execution. So the Constitutional Court ruled that the South African government cannot extradite people to countries where a capital punishment can be executed unless there's an assurance from that requesting state that even if capital punishment is the sentence, but it will not be carried out. So this treaty between South Africa and Botswana is trying to resolve that issue, where if there's a person who's facing capital punishment in Botswana, in terms of this treaty, that person will not be executed. The issue of the International Criminal Court is being dealt with by the Department of Justice. It has not yet been resolved by government. So I think the statement that Minister of Justice issued last week is still an operating position of government.
Okay. Mining Pakistan. The mining Pakistan.
Oh, sorry. Oh, on mining Pakistan, the Operation Pakistan mining took place last year, and then this year we've been having meetings with affected stakeholders, how best to implement all the recommendations of Operation Pakistan. As of yesterday, I've met some of the labor leaders led by the president of NUM, President Matosa. Our understanding is that in a very short while, the Operation Pakistan of mining will be unveiled so that the country will see what areas will be implemented in order to reignite the mining sector. I can assure you that there is a great deal of consensus on the program of action in the mining sector.
Thank you. There were some hands. Okay. Cape Town?
Yes, we'll take 2 hands. And Siwe, we'll start with you.
And Siwe from City Press again. Minister, I feel like you perhaps did not answer my question in the sense that you do say that you don't know or you didn't read the other statement, which is fine. But we're saying the other statement said all these things about how this issue was handled. Did you discuss that as the cabinet, how the matter of terror alerts was handled by the US? And what is your position on that issue? Now you know what the statement said, but can you comment on how they handled that matter, and do you agree with what was in that statement?
Paul?
Yeah, Minister, just to come through on this as well, is Cabinet distancing itself from the Durka statement? And that's, can you just clarify that for us, please? Thank you.
That's it from Cape Town, Chair.
And that's the last round, Lizel. Any questions from Pretoria? And this is also the last round. Okay, there's none. Oh, yes, sir?
I just wanted to, with regards to those questions, sorry, Peter from Jacaranda FM, The miscommunication I think that we are concerned about is that we're not getting the same message from government. So I think the actual question that I just want clarity on is, although perhaps, Minister, you haven't read the statement by DIRCO, is there a certain message that's being sent from a different department as compared to Presidency? It seems that the US Embassy and the Presidency is speaking the same language, but DIRCO obviously is not agreeing with what is being said and done.
Okay, that will be all the questions, Minister. Thank you, Minister.
Well, there's nothing more I can add to what I've said. The official government position was reiterated in a statement by the Presidency yesterday and reaffirmed by Cabinet today as I'm releasing a post-Cabinet statement. So that's where the matter rests. I want to emphasize again, the United States Embassy issued a statement, which I'm sure you have seen it, that reiterates the same sentiment about the cordial relations between the US and the South African government, and we are continuing on those matters in economic, political, social, as well as on security matters. And lastly, the security cluster of ministers, I'm sure from time to time, will be appraising the South African public on the state of our readiness for any matters that relates to the safety of South Africans or anybody who resides within the borders of the Republic of South Africa.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thanks, Lizzle, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This brings us to the end of this briefing. Thank you.